Hello, I'm Nigel Barnforth of 5M Publishing, and I'm very pleased to have with me Professor Simon Davies, who is Professor of Nutritional Biosciences and Aquaculture at Harper Adams University in the UK. Simon, I wonder if I could ask you a little bit about the area of aquaculture nutrition. And first of all, how has our knowledge of fish nutrition moved forward in recent years, in your view?
Oh, it's vastly moved forward. If you look at aquaculture nutrition's development over the last 3 decades, you could say, and I used to say to students in the past in lectures, that perhaps aquaculture nutrition was on a par or slightly behind research in the poultry industry and other animal species. But I could say now easily, with confidence, that aquaculture nutrition holds its own in the mainstream areas of animal production biosciences, covering a wide diversity of disciplines from fish nutrition right through to fish genetics and fish disease and health.
And in terms of sustainability, which obviously is a very big issue at the moment, how do you think consumers' concerns about sustainability can be addressed by the industry?
Well, consumers are driven by events, obviously, and they are hearing more and more about the requirements for healthy production of animals, including fish, of course. We've had lots of issues over the last 2 decades or so in relation to bovine spongiform encephalopathies, which is known as mad cow disease, that kind of thing, and avian flu. People are more aware now of these issues, and aquaculture has its own specific areas of concern, namely the dependency on animal proteins and fish proteins from the ocean, fish meal and fish oil particularly. In many countries it's permissible to use some of those animal byproducts, but in the European Union we still have that moratorium with specific exceptions. But the consumer is very aware of the transparency, is becoming more aware of the transparency of the food chain as they are being given this information by the retailers about sustainability in terms of sea fish production, wild catch, and the requirement for certification in the Marine Stewardship Council for wild fish stocks, and that's actually integrating with concern for aquaculture. So the salmon industry, for an example, are meeting those agendas through they're driven by the retailers who are putting these concepts out into and disseminating out to the public.
And in terms of research focus, what direction do you think that should be moving into the future?
Well, in relation to animal byproducts and the use of marine proteins and marine oils, we have a wide variety of opportunities here to address this through research on new novel ingredients. I know if we look back through the history of fish nutrition, there's been a huge amount of interest in soybean meal and plant byproducts from oilseed seeds and that kind of thing. From the extraction of the oil from the oilseed leads to protein concentrates. But even those terrestrial plant byproducts have their own issues in relation to how they might work in carnivorous species, possibly causing issues relating to the intestine, gut enteritis in salmon, for instance, on certain types of soybean meal. Those are issues that are relating to perhaps the increasing amount of plant byproducts and proteins from terrestrial sources being used to offset the marine protein sources. And the marine proteins, I mainly mean their fish meal. So the research is now being driven to explore new options, which includes single-cell proteins. That means algae, yeasts, and other proteins derived from bacteria. There's a lot of interest in bacterial protein. So these are classified completely as SCPs, or single-cell proteins. So there is a lot of emphasis now to explore this and get the balancing of the diet correct. We could say that fish nutrition is in relation to some species, at a critical physiological knife edge. As we are pushing the boundaries of feed formulation, we may be creating new problems that need to be addressed. In terms of trace element nutrition requirements of fish, there's a new interest in perhaps redefining trace element requirements for fish, because the plant proteins tend to lock those trace elements up. When we start to replace fish meal with these products, we may be limiting the availability of some of those trace elements, particularly phosphorus. So we may then have to address other areas of opportunities, such as exogenous enzymes, which can be added to the feed to assist the digestive process, to release those nutrients. That's another interesting avenue of work that can be done. and to perhaps re-establish and redefine vitamin requirements as well under different systems of production.
Great, thanks. And do you have any particular take-home messages you wanted to give to the industry?
I think the industry can be reassured that the academic involvement is one that is very sympathetic to the industry's needs. In fact, we depend on each other. The fundamental nutritional requirements of fish is something that can be done kind of independently from industry, but we do need industry on board for the application of these findings and for the development and R&D for many of these products, which are obviously of concern to the industry. The industry are producing some of these interesting materials, so we have to see what the industry requirements are in opportunities for aquaculture and to offer up challenges that we can face together through the application of joint enterprise. Industry is often the funding source apart from government research councils. Increasingly, industry is cooperating with government research councils, and we have now meetings where that synergy comes together with the scientists, the technologists, and the industry to drive the research forward, so it's more meaningful, and we can then apply it across the board.
And Simon, can I ask you how nutrition can impact favourably on fish health management?
Well, obviously nutrition and feed production and the design, formulation of diets optimized for various fish species have a very important consequence, mainly to fish growth and production under intensive conditions, and varying conditions may lead to environmental stress. And nutrition plays a big role in that. And it's not enough anymore to produce diets for grow fish rapidly or also meet better feed conversions. We also have to be very aware of how nutrition integrates with the disease status of fish in relation to stress physiology and the potential for fish to be challenged with pathogens from the external environment. So we're making very strong progress to understand better the nutritional role of nutrients in relation to the immune system of fish. And more recently, gut health is a very important topic. It's the question of the gut microbiome and the ecology of the internal environment of the gastrointestinal tract, which is has a very strong bearing on the immune function of fish. The gut barrier system is one of the primary sources for pathogenic invasion into the fish. So nutrition can affect the composition of the gut microbiome. So we are now very concerned about new opportunities in feed additive design, prebiotics, probiotics, which can act as prophylactic agents to prevent the gut from being swamped by the pathogenic bacteria. So it's a relationship between gut microbiome developments, nutrition, and the immune system is a very complicated story, but we're understanding much better this through the use of genomics, functional genomics, and the whole next generation of genomics systems and molecular genetics are going to play a big role here and will play a factor in understanding how nutrition can mediate and mitigate against these events.
Great, thank you very much indeed, Simon.
Thank you.